Hey guys, I hope you're all having an amazing day. So in today's video, I'm super excited to let you guys know that we're going to be doing a Season 14 tier list. Now, since my last tier list, there have been an abundance of nerfs, buffs, and meta changes. So I'm thrilled to say this list is going to look very different to our last one. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to let you guys know that I love editing videos just like this one, but they do take a lot of time to put together. So if you take the time to show your support by leaving a like, subscribing if you're new, and leaving a comment with any changes you would have made, it will mean the world to me. Alright, first up we have Bloodhound, who I have put in the A tier. While I feel Bloodhound has been slept on as of late following the rise of the Seer meta, I still strongly believe that he is a very solid pick in both pubs and ranked. His scans are super helpful for the team, and the movement capabilities provided by his ultimate are still second to none. For these reasons, I have put Bloodhound in the A tier. Next up, we have Gibraltar, who has dropped down from the S tier to the A tier. For those who didn't know, Maggie recently received a huge buff, allowing her to instantly destroy Gibby's bubble with her ultimate. This is a major reason why he has been given this ranking, and I know that you guys are going to say that she has always been a counter to Gibby. However, that is only partially true. Previously, her only viable tool against Gibby was her drill, but as the Gibby, you could just play the backside of the bubble and it wouldn't hit you, so it wasn't a huge issue. Overall, Gibby is still a very solid legend with some great abilities that will help you dominate close range fights and reset after a teammate gets downed. However, I can't put him in the S tier again, seeing that one of his biggest assets, being his bubble, can be destroyed instantly. Alright, now this one hurts, and I hope it would never come to this, but unfortunately for the first time ever, I'm putting Lifeline in the D tier. In my previous list, I put her in the C tier. However, I think it's important to note that even if a character isn't changed themselves, changes happening around them can reduce the viability of that character. In this case, it is the insane buffs that Newcastle received in Season 14, giving people even less of a reason to play Lifeline. I'm not going to go into Lifeline into too much detail as she hasn't changed since my last list. However, the main reason I've put her at this rank is literally everything she can do, something or someone else can do better. You don't need her care packages, as you can just replicate what you need. Her passive revive, while situationally useful, is extremely risky, especially in comparison to a Newcastle res, and her tactical healing drone, while better than it used to be, is still nothing to cheer about. For these reasons, and the fact that Newcastle with a gold knock is borderline unstoppable when it comes to reviving teammates, I have sadly put Lifeline in the D tier. Next up is my personal favourite legend in the game, Pathfinder, who I have put in the B tier. Pathfinder's grapple is still unrivaled in terms of swiftly and effectively getting both in and out of fights. However, unfortunately, that is pretty much his only valuable asset, especially in ranked. Pathfinder's ziplines, while sometimes useful, is very risky in comparison to other repositioning abilities in the game, and he still does not have an actual passive outside of the Recon Legend base kit. I would have put him in the C tier due to his lack of utility, but his skill ceiling is still extremely high, and in the hands of the right person, Pathfinder can still dominate. Our next legend is Wraith, who has retained her spot in the A tier. Wraith hasn't really changed since my last tier list and is still a very solid pick with great abilities. Her tactical is a great get out of jail free card when used correctly, and her portal is highly effective in getting you both in and out of fights. I'm not going to go into too much detail, as like I said, she hasn't really changed, so for these reasons I have put Wraith in the A tier. Next is all reliable Bangalore, who I've actually decided to bump up from the B tier to the A tier. Bangalore has always remained relatively consistent across countless seasons. Her smoke is very handy, as well as her double time passive and ultimate, as they all combine together to make her very dominant in a variety of situations. There is no one situation that Bangalore is unbeatable at, but she is arguably the most versatile legend in the game, which is why I love her so much. On the other hand, the reasons I put her in the B tier was because of the scan meta, which rendered her smoke pretty useless. However, since maining her in ranked over the last few days, I've had a change of heart, as ranked is where I believe her value truly shines, as she can get you through difficult rotations and allow you to take the high ground with ease. For these reasons, I have put Bangalore in the A tier. On to Caustic, who, like Wraith, has retained his spot in the A tier. Also similar to Wraith, he hasn't really changed since my last tier list, so I won't go into too much detail. he is still, in my opinion, the best defensive legend in the game, and without a doubt the best legend at defending an enclosed space. His gas traps are great at locking down an area, and his ultimate is an amazing clearance tool that can be used either offensively or defensively. As for the fan favorite and king of bamboozles, Mirage, I'm sad to say he is staying in the C tier, at least for now. I'll be the first person to admit that Mirage is a really fun legend capable of confusing an entire enemy team. However, this unfortunately isn't enough to get him out of the C tier for the simple fact that he is one of the worst legends in the game right now for ranked. As you get to the higher ranks, his decoys become increasingly less effective, and people can locate your invisible revive purely based on audio. For these reasons, I have kept Mirage in the C tier. Next up is Octane, who I've put in the A tier. Octane is a very solid legend who I main for a very long time. However, his not so recent anymore nerfs have made him a very risky character to play. His jump pad and stim are very effective in helping him relocate, but his stim takes quite a large chunk of his health, and even with the double jump, you're still susceptible to being beamed out of the sky. Word of warning, try not to take a jump pad without crouching unless it is very safe and you are taking height, because you will get knocked before you even touch the ground. As for Wattson, I have also put her in the B tier. While I don't believe she is as good as Caustic in terms of defense, she is still a very solid pick and is very strong when it comes to fights in enclosed spaces. With some sort of offensive capabilities, I strongly believe Wattson could easily move up to the A tier. Next up, we have Crypto, who I have put in the B tier, and again, I'm not going to go into too much detail as he hasn't changed, but he is an overall solid legend who can be deadly in the right hands. Following the buff which allowed somewhat autonomy to his drone, he has moved up the rankings quite a bit into the B tier. Now we have our second legend who qualified for the D tier, Revenant. First of all, I'm just going to rule ranked off the table as he has little to no use in high tier ranked, as a team will just come by and wait at your totem. I have to give credit where it's due, his tactical is pretty solid and can come in very handy. However, his passive isn't very useful, and the risk involved with using his ultimate isn't always worth the reward. Additionally, his totem is very reliant on other movement legends' abilities, otherwise you are sent back before you can even make it to the enemy trying to push forward. For these reasons, I have put Revenant in the D tier. On to Loba, who I have put in the A tier. In summary, Loba's utility is second to none, and she is arguably the most resourceful legend in the game. Her tactical is a great repositioning tool, and her ultimate is super handy, especially when you fight a team off drop. Alright, now we have a legend who had arguably one of the biggest glow-ups as of late, Rampart, who I am very happy to put in the B tier after having her in the D tier for our last list. They haven't reworked her at all, however they have made her abilities much more effective for locking down an area and dominating mid to long range engagements. She is very useful in both pubs and ranked, and again, I am really happy to be putting her in the B tier after her recent buffs. Next we have one of my personal favorites, Horizon, who I have kept in the A tier. Horizon is an amazing legend capable of decimating an entire enemy team in seconds. Her tactical is an amazing repositioning tool for her and her entire team. It also pretty much guarantees a shield battery unless the enemy has immaculate aim. And while her ultimate did get nerfed slightly, it is still very useful when used correctly. Onto the Australian stallion Fuse, who retains his spot in the B tier. Fuse is a very annoying legend to verse, as he can relentlessly bombard you with explosives. Overall, he is a fairly solid legend, however his ultimate could definitely be a bit more useful. Next is a very interesting legend who took me a while to decide where to put her, Valkyrie, who after a lot of contemplating, I decided to put in the A tier. Valkyrie got struck the hardest with the nerf hammer, with her abilities now being much less effective than they used to be. In saying that, she is still very solid, and her ultimate is handy for getting out of tough situations and preventing being gatekept. You just have to be much more selective when you use her abilities. You aren't able to just strafe constantly with her jetpack or initiate her ult in 3 seconds like you used to, but for these reasons I have kept Valkyrie in the A tier. Onto our first S tier legend in the list, Seer. Seer has blown up in the meta as of late and is currently an unbelievably good scan legend. While I believe he is useful in both pubs and ranked, I feel as though ranked is where he really shines. His passive allows you to easily locate rats for some easy KP, as well as ensure that you are never caught off guard by a team. His tactical is incredibly useful for taking down a single target, as well as cancelling revives, and his ultimate, don't even get me started. Being able to constantly see exactly where the enemy is, well, it speaks for itself. For these reasons and many, many more, Seer is the first S tier legend on the list. Next up is Ashe, who I have put in the A tier. I feel as though Ashe hasn't been discussed much as of late, even though she is still a very solid legend. Her tactical is effective at pinning down an opponent, thus preventing their escape, as well as dishing out a nice little bit of damage. And her ultimate is arguably the best get out of jail free card in the game for not only her, but her entire team. Now on to Mad Maggie, who I have bumped up from the C tier to the B tier. Following the release of Season 14, she received quite a few buffs, such as increased drill launch velocity, and the ability to instantly destroy a Gibby bubble with her ultimate, which is huge. They also increase the distance and damage of her ultimate, which is always good. For these reasons, I decided to bump Maggie up from the C tier to the B tier. Next up is our second S tier legend on the list, Newcastle. Newcastle has arguably had the biggest glow up of any legend, with him receiving buffs to his res shield, reviving movement speed, tactical ability health, and tactical ability speed. Right now, Newcastle is the ultimate support legend, and I am telling you, if you're able to get a gold knockdown on this guy, you are getting at least one guaranteed res per fight. Even if all three enemies shoot his knockdown, they won't be able to get through it when it's gold. Newcastle is currently what all Lifeline mains wish she would be, and I believe he is in an amazing spot right now. On to the final legend and the latest addition to the Apex Legends roster, Vantage, who I have put in the B tier. I think Vantage is a great addition to the game and a very, very solid legend. Her ultimate is very easy to use and very rewarding, and Echo is an amazing repositioning and getaway ability. Overall, she is a great pick for any marksman and has the potential to decimate an enemy in the right hands. Well, there you have it, everybody, my Season 14 Apex Legend tier list. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment with any changes that you would have made. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.